All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Kanipa with Matt Quad, Standing Bear Soda Tri Fishing Lake Work Nation. Saskatchewan, Canada, Treaty 4 Territory, Anishinaabe, 60 Scoop Survivor, and published author. And welcome to We Are the Medicine Circle, which implies that we are the Medicine Circle. It looks a lot like this. It looks almost exactly like this. So, uh, so yeah, we are the medicine, and so we've had a bunch of new people in the circle. So if you're new here, a couple of days, a week or so, welcome to we are the medicine here, and just kind of a little clarification. It's I am not in charge here. This is not my circle. I do not own this circle. Um, I am in the service of the Great Spirit, and I am in the service of this circle. There's no other place I'd really rather be than this morning than just sitting right next to you. And again, this is what this looks like. This is me. This is Heather. This is Becky. This is Daniela. This is all of us just sitting together, just having just living our very best life just for today. And that's the deal. And no one said that they love you today. I love you very much. And that just simply means I want you to live your very best life connected to beginning with the spirit, spiritual health, spiritual wealth. And yeah, this is about progress, not perfection too. And some of you know where where I got that from. Yeah, and yeah. So let's one announcement. Again, it's a housekeeping announcement. If we have a lag in the audio or the visual, just know that I'm not going nowhere. If I get kicked off, just know that I'm going to hit that live button again, and we will pick up where we left off, and we will finish out the hour ish. I tend to run over a little bit. But that's okay. So anyway, yeah, let us begin in the usual way here. If we have any smudge here, let us just give me a little heart, a little thumbs up, so we can keep this smudge going throughout the entire circle. This morning meditation in remembrance for the residential school children who never made it home. And remember that prayer comes from a grandmother out in um, uh, Vancouver. Yes, Vancouver. So when the grandmother suggests that, it's kind of like, okay, now let's make that happen. Yeah, let's make that happen. Let's be real mindful and put their prayers in our hearts, and just love them. You know, those children that never came home. They just wanted to be loved, and so let's put a lot of love in our heart this morning for them. Just say, we love you, we remember, we honor you, we honor your life and the life that you offered this world too. When you think of it in terms like that, it's just like you can't help but cheer up a little bit, right? It's just kind of like, yeah. Yeah. So let's do this in a really good way. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. And let's begin also in the usual way here. Let's begin in the old ones say, if it doesn't begin with prayer, then it doesn't begin. If it doesn't begin with spirit, then it doesn't begin. So let's begin by offering, and I think I would add, if it doesn't begin with offering, then it really doesn't begin, right? So let's it's kind of like a bearism. So let us yeah. So let's offer. there was a comment yesterday. Why do we offer? So just basically before we start, asking without offering is spiritual stealing. So even when we pray, that is a spiritual request, right? You know, and so we want our prayers to be heard. So tobacco is that conduit between our hearts and the Great Spirit. So we want to make that offering. So let us. And then Richiagana to all my relations. Chi Megwich, Creator, Kichimanitou, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. Chi Megwich for our breath. Chi Megwich for our circle. Chi Megwich for this day. Chi Megwich for our life. We are grateful for our last breath, and we are hopeful for our next, and we live in that place in between. We come here today. We mean no harm in what we do. We come here in a good way, a sacred way. Wankapek, to learn to sit in a sacred way. So let us come here in circle. Let us be gentle with each other in our words and our prayers. And we may come here for a lot of reasons. But the first reason is life, the celebration of life. I didn't say the celebration of my life, but the celebration of our life. We celebrate all nations, tribes, and circles as a celebration of us. Especially those tribes, circles, and nations that do not look like the two-legged, like the standing nations, the ones who offer the world breath. We say thank you. To the fish nations, the ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the water, we say thank you. To the wind nations, the ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the wind and air. To the creepy crawlies and the slithers, ones who teach us how to stay close and grounded to Mother Earth. The four-legged nations, circles, and tribes, the ones who offer us and teach us so much about our humanity, we say thank you. And of course, to other two-legged nations, circles, and tribes, who we understand and acknowledge that you are our teachers as well, and this makes our ears and hearts happy. We come here and we give thanks and love to those things that give us life and love. Air, water, fire, and earth. We give prayers out to the 7 directions. We give thanks to our ancestors, the ones who have come before us. And remember, we come from a million points of light and love. That means prayers. Every prayer is a light. Remember, if they are our relatives here, which all life is, they are our ancestors over there. So grandmother mole, grandfather bear, grandfather eagle, grandmother eagle, they are all our ancestors. And so we welcome them into this circle, the same as the two-legged. This is a great opportunity. And we also want to acknowledge that some of our two-legged ancestors were hurt, wounded, abused, and traumatized, and they passed that along to us. And we acknowledge this is a place of hurt. But we also acknowledge this is a place of healing. And we also acknowledge it's okay not to be okay during this healing process. And we acknowledge ourselves to sit with each other during this process. We encourage them to be gentle with ones who are healing and in their process right now. That is why we come to Circle, and that is part of celebrating life, is celebrating the healing journeys of others, and they are all welcome here. Does not matter what color or race you are, we are all welcome here, as our ancestors welcomed everybody in the circle. And we don't do this just for ourselves, because that would be selfish. We want to be selfless. We do this for the next seven generations, where we only borrow this earth from our children, and our children are only loaned to us. So we live in this beautiful intersection between two unseen worlds. We are here in the physical, and they are here in the spiritual. We are overlapped, intertwined, and overlapping. They hear everything that we say. They see everything that we do. So let us sit here, Wonka pick in a sacred way, and listen. Listen to the voices that have yet to come here, as we listen to the ancestors who guide us in a really good and beautiful way. And the ancestors, they left us a road to follow, a path to follow, a well-worn trail, a trail that we can only see with our hearts. They left us teachings to follow, the 7 sacred teachings: humility, love, truth, honesty, respect, courage, and wisdom. And when we sit with these, and we sit with these, and we listen to these, we listen to the sounds of humility, the sounds of truth, the sounds of love, the sounds of connection to all of these things. And they will guide us in a good and beautiful way. They will protect us from those that mean us harm and say harsh words. So let us sit with these today as we sit with each other. We are here to make good relations and be good relatives to both seen and unseen, physical and spiritual. For these worlds are overlapped and intertwined. So let us love each other today. Let us remember that we are all brothers and sisters sitting in the same circle. Let us honor each other's walks. Honor the place that we are. If we made a mistake yesterday, we love you. If we make a mistake last week, we love you. And at the end of this circle, we always take one step closer to the first prayer at the center of the universe. The first fire that ever was. That prayer of harmony and balance. We will know that a little bit more today. Right here, right now. So allow that beautiful thing to flow to us and through us, for us, so we can offer this to others, this harmony and balance. Oh, all right. All right, well, good one this morning. So, yeah. Couple things before we start in earnest. Kind of preamble things. Hollow bones. Let's keep this fluid. We understand that there's a life force out there, like the birds, the singing birds. The sunrise. All these things represent the life force, right? They represent a language. They represent a consciousness. They represent a prayer. They represent a direction, right? And the beautiful thing is, and just think about it, we are all these things. We are all these things, right? So we want to connect to all these things, right? And that is hollow bones. So allowing that beautiful flow, the flow of life, that life force to flow to us, and more importantly, that's step one. And then we are to offer equally and in balance that life force to others, right? So I'm not sure if I made that clear, but this is what we're supposed to do. That's truly being hollow bone. That is truly living in full circle. We want to receive and love equally. that is living in harmony and balance. So yeah, and just allow that flow to happen. When we force things, that's when that conversation of stillness comes in, right? That place of silence, just knowing, you know. People ask me, like, how do we begin? Well, in the indigenous world, we start when the veil is finished, right? And the veil is finished, sunrise and sunset, right? So we begin our day. That's why we have a lot of ceremonies in the morning to welcome the new beginnings, the new light, the new love, and all those things that we are privileged and honored to be a part of, right? Right. So let's yeah. So ancestors and elders. So let's go ahead and if you this was a question yesterday. If you want to openly gratitude, show your gratitude toward your elder here. Um, that's okay. You don't need to ask my permission. Just go ahead and say thank you to elder so and so. You can write that here. That is welcome. So thank you to Tony Stonehawk. I've been with him for 30 years now. So he is Lenny Lenape out of Delaware. I found him when I was off reservation and still struggling with my own issues, heavily struggling with my own issues, and just guided me in a really good and beautiful way. Brought me to this thing called the Red Road. I had no idea what that was, but yeah, and got to talk about this too. One of the greatest pieces of advice was he said. He called me Morning Eagle, so my first spirit name is Morning Eagle. So, Morning Eagle, sit with as many elders as you can and learn all the right ways to do it, right? Because there's so many right ways to do it. So there's so many right ways to celebrate the morning. There's so many right ways to celebrate love. There's so many right ways to celebrate life, right? So let's not be boxed in to one way, but let's learn to honor all ways, right? All the right ways to do it. There's so many right ways to love, right? And so every tribe, represents that. So and that's just a beautiful teaching, right? I went to an elders, gathering a couple of weeks ago, and some people were kind of hesitant, right? They said, well, I'm not going there. I'm not sitting with that. Like, I don't know them. I don't know their ways, and I just gave them, a gentle nudge, course correction kind of thing. Hey, look, there's so many right ways to do this thing, right? So I encourage you to kind of, and I'm not saying dilute your traditional ways. I'm not saying that if you have a traditional way, then say that. But it's okay to learn how many other right ways there are, and that's just the way of the spirit, right? So anyway. No one said that they love you today. I love you very much. And okay, circle medicine. So no one's in front of us, no one's behind us, no one's above us, no one is below us. This is what we look like right here. This is all of us right here. So this is Amy, Lynette, Cake, Ed, Heather. This is all of us, and we are all intertwined and overlapping. That's just a cool concept, right? Because it's because we are a circle, right? We are the medicine circle. This is not Standing Bear Circle. This is we are. So the we includes the next 7 generations. The we also includes our ancestors too, both seen and unseen. So that's part of that we. So yeah, it really basically means equality, right? That we are all equal here, right? No one's better. This is not a patriarchy thing, right? It's just not, right? So. All right, Sacred Feminine. Okay, here we go. The Life Givers. There's another world out there. It's a different world, right? This is just contrast medicine, the colonial patriarchy world that marginalizes, minimalizes the Life Givers, and that is not what we do over here. We are all, again, sitting in the same circle. You are beautiful, special, and you are sacred. And we honor that that we honor that life-giving space that you have brought to this world. So, okay, so let's begin. And question of the day. Okay, so please keep your questions, concerns, comments coming. I know. Listen, I'm way behind on that, but please, please. So what we're kind of doing here is, because we were a month in Europe, and now it was a couple weeks down in the States. So just re-ask those questions if I miss it. I'm still scrolling back. I love your questions. Your questions are beautiful, and they are necessary. So one question I think I asked it yesterday. Picked it yesterday. The collective consciousness and the red road. Okay. Actually, I think I wrote that question here. So give me a minute to. Okay. So collective consciousness. How is it's going to take me too long to find it. So, collective consciousness, kind of like a new agey um, concept, right? Well, what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? How are they related? I think that was the question. Well, we understand that we are all related, right? The birds, the worms, the ancestors, the mountains, the water, the rain, the thunder beings, the star nations, we are all related. And again, we look like this, right? Okay, we understand that we live in a spiritual and physical world, right? We live in two worlds, right? Both seen and unseen. Okay, we also understand that everything has a voice, right? Not all voices speak, right? Not all languages are spoken, but everything has a language and everything speaks, right? Even colors, right? And that's why the fall is so vibrant. That's why we feel like, oh, it's so beautiful, right? Because we're connecting to not only the colors, but the way the colors speak. So the colors themselves are a language, right? And even in the springtime now, we get so much new light. We are uplifted, right? Because we are surrounded by those things that are growing. And as they grow, they are consciously speaking to us. I've never heard someone say, well, I felt worse, walking through the woods after than I did before. I've never heard that. When we sit next to a fire, that speaks, right? Because we feel better, right? Fire is one of the languages that we speak and that we understand. That's why we feel, we all sit next to a fire and we feel, oh my God, it feels good. Okay, so we all sit next to a little flowing river. I did a beautiful meditation recently down Black Hills, and sitting next to, and if you ever sit next to just a little stream, a little river, you know how much it talks. It speaks to us. It speaks to our spirits, right? That's beautiful. That's a level of consciousness. So bringing it full circle, bringing it back in, this is a level of consciousness that the water has. So all these things, they have a history, they have a language, they have a song, and that's a level of consciousness. I'm not sure I'm not sure if I ever heard Tony say that it's what they say, a collective conscious, but it really is, right? You know, there's a collective consciousness. Hollow bones could be kind of considered, we are part of this beautiful collective consciousness, this thing called life. And, I think pretty safe to say that we are part of all life, and we are supposed to connect to all these beautiful things like the flowing river, right? The flowing river, the sunrise. We are supposed to connect and kind of deeper. The deeper teaching is that there's a gift for us. Every sunrise, that there's a gift. I don't know if you know that. Tony told me that years ago, and I couldn't believe it, right? And then when I started to understand that, then I started to hear it. And then I could hear the voices. And then I could understand it. And, those gifts are so deep, so beautiful, so powerful. Right? And the idea to these medicines, we're supposed to hold on to these medicines, right? To see it, hear it, feel it, right? Emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, right? We're supposed to hold on. And then we're supposed to offer this medicine back, right? To those of us who are struggling out there, we love you. So we're offering this medicine back to you. The more medicine we give and the more medicine we receive, right? And that you can write down. The more love I offer, the more love I receive. I end up having more love at the end of the offering than I did in the beginning, right? Right? That's part of spiritual law, right? That's part of living. That's part of the truth. That's part of love, right? The more love we carry, the lighter the load. Right? Talking about that a lot. The more humility we carry, the lighter the load, because it protects us and honors us. We hear this thing, we hear these things that we couldn't hear before, right? Right. So let's talk about those of us who have been walking with on the red road for a little while, right? That's a different conversation than those who are just beginning, right? Or those who don't know anything about it, right? Or those who are stuck in that colonial world, right? It's just a different conversation. Healers, warriors, those who have been walking this road, they're the same thing, Um, those who have, it's just a different conversation because we have a different relationship with humility, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a different relationship with truth, right? Because the colonial world has a difficult time, with the truth. They say, the truth is what I say it is, right? That's really what it is. That's the dynamic over there. That's what they bring. Um, you know, Spiritual law here, consciousness, the truth does not change. Right? The sunrise will always be the sunrise, right? We know that, right? Love will always be love. Right? Right? So I don't know if I answered the question. I don't know, but I'm just I love you. Please keep your questions, concerns, and comments coming. Um, yeah, please keep those questions, concerns, comments coming. Um, you know, and I wrote a note here before. Consciousness is not limited to humans, right? So I think we covered that, right? So, so it's kind of like spiritually reversed, as humans are the most unconscious, right? Right? Just because we think and feel, we think we're the only things that think and feel, right? Who here remembers my tree story?
Mm-hmm.
Like my tree story. Just give me a thumbs up if you remember my tree story. I am all heart, right? That's the punchline to that story. I am all heart, and that was the Standing Nations offering to me, and again, it brought me in tears. I'm like, oh my God, right? That's like so beautiful, so powerful, so big, and I'm still sitting with that, and I'm still thinking after all these years, it still blows my mind to say, you know if they are all heart all the time, they are giving life, they're giving prayers, right? Every tree, every day, they're giving,
They're good.
they're giving breath, they're giving life. I challenge you to do that. Can you? Will you? Right? That's a level of consciousness right there. That's a level of healing. That's a level of truth. That's a level of humility. Right? It's all the same thing, intertwined and overlapping. We can't have one without having the other. Right? I challenge you to be all heart. Just for the next hour, be all heart. Just be in. It's a beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And before we get here, we're really just kind of tourists there, right? But we want to live this beautiful life as a way of life, right? To be connected to all those beautiful things. And remember, God brings me to tears when Grandfather Tony said that there's a gift for you and everything, right? I didn't understand it, right? I come from a colonial patriarchal world where gifts are only earned. It's like a birthday or Christmas thing. It's like, no. You know, The first gift that we got today is life. Right? The first gift we got today is life. What are you doing to offer life back? Right? It's really that beautiful. Just think about that. It's that beautiful. We get an opportunity to change the world today. And I think that's a beautiful. And you know what we're doing? We're just doing it, right? We come here. It's a virtual circle, but it's still a circle, right? We're changing the world. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in England or Australia. It doesn't matter. We are still changing the world by what we are doing here. And that is giving life, right? That is giving life, right? No matter the mistakes of yesterday, we are still here collecting, offering life. And that's just, that's just a beautiful way to live, right? And again, to hold on to this for the rest of today and then offer those things. There's people who are struggling. There's things that are struggling. That's an opportunity to live a really good life, to live our very best life, right? So, all right. So, okay. Okay, so if you are new here, welcome. We read from a couple books here. The books that I have written, Whispers from the Hollow Bone, that's my name right there, Wayne Williamson. And so Daily Medicine also, actually about to sign a contract for a third, probably today. So so these are meditations. So we sit with these. That's basically what that is, right? So we sit with these. They are gifts and they are guided to us in a really good and beautiful way. So what we will do here, we're going to go over Whispers from the Hollow Bone, November 15th. So, and what we're going to do here is we're going to read it a couple of times, develop a general impression. That's just a starting point. That's not good or bad. So if you're a 1 day here and 1 day sober, your the where you start, your opinion is just as beautiful and just as valid as those have been here for 30 years or 40 years or walking the river, whatever that looks like. We are all equal here. There's not a place of judgment. We leave judgment, opinions at the door as we come into these beautiful spiritual realms. I love you, right? I love you. Okay, so. Those who have a difficult time listening always have a difficult time healing. Okay. What does that mean to you? I'll read it one more time. Again, just kind of close your eyes. Just kind of feel the beauty here, right? Just feel the beauty. So, those who have a difficult time listening always have a difficult time healing. And you know what? This morning, as I read this, my eyes went to always, right? Always what? Difficult, right? Appears to be a fork in the road here, right? Also appears to be an opportunity, right? Years ago, I would have felt called out, right? On the Spirit's talking to me type thing. I get that response all the time. So, what is your, thank you, sir. So, those who have a difficult time listening always have a difficult time healing. Okay. Creating a really clear picture of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it, right? Listening is the first form of communication, right? We come from a culture and society that we do not listen anymore. We do not know how to listen anymore. It is a forgotten ceremony, right? Listening is a time of patience, gentleness, nurturing, right? Prayer is understanding, and it's also, listening and prayer, listening is a prayer that you can write down, right? In fact, we were at a men's group, we did a men's circle last night, and we were talking about this, right? You know, we listen to respond. We listen to be right. We respond. We want to sound good, right? Right. Sound good, look good, and be right. Those are the cornerstones of a colonial conversation, right? We don't want to appear weak or that we don't know, right? You know, that place that they're talking about that they live in lacks what? Humility, right? So how can we talk about listening without talking about humility, right? Right. Right. So let's go back to a previous comment, right? So those who have been walking this red road, their conversation is a little different, right? Right. Those who have put in time and have done the work, right? Right. Put in that spiritual work, right? Right. That means, you know, admitted to those things that we fall short, those shortcomings, our spiritual shortcomings, right? Right. And, there's a lot of us that are in recovery, right? And really the 12 steps, we have to talk about this. And so this is a good part of the 12 steps, right? Like, I know it's a Bible thing, it's like this, and 12 apostles and 12 steps like that. But aside from that, right, it teaches us some real, Grandfather Tony said, and this is beautiful, when it's good, take what's good and you can leave the rest, right? You know, that's why I still go to the 12-step program, because there's still good there, right? There's good people doing good things, right? Right? That's why I go. I go to help, listen, to be guided, right? And to be guided by those people that have less time, right? Less time, right? Yeah. So, let's talk about those. Let's talk about the very beginning. Those. Who who are the those that they? That's going to sound really. Who are the those that they are talking about? Okay, those. Okay. Right. 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 You know, it kind of sounds like those people over there, right? Well, really, what they're talking about is all of us in a really beautiful and gentle way, right? Those, right? It's not like those people that can't get help, or those people that aren't, and yeah, those people that know. It is all of us, right? That's what humility says. So we're bringing in some beautiful unseen medicine here, that we are included in so it doesn't matter where we are still able to get healthy and healthier, right? So it doesn't matter if you have 2 days sobriety or 30 years or 15, whatever it is, right? There's still a place of beauty, and there's still a place of growth, and that has to be noted, right? Right. You are beautiful, you are powerful, and you are sacred, right? And this is the way that we get to that place. We just say, okay, like even Pop, Grandfather Tony, been sober a long time, right? I don't know, 50 some years, right? But he still goes, and he still, he still listens to those things. He sits in ceremony, right? And he still listens, right? You know, you know, in the beginning of my walk, I thought that Grandfather Tony was like it, right? Like he had hit like the ceiling. He had hit the top of the mountain, right? He was sitting there and he was doing, this and to everybody. And like, he's like, no, I am sitting next to you. That's why I go to these things, because I want to learn, right? I want to learn. In fact, you know what he does? So like we go to an elders gathering, right? So we just came from an elders gathering. I collected some notes so I could share with him, because he's just standing there, always take notes and then share them with me, right? So, and the guy's like 80 something years. Yeah, I was like, and he's still learning, right? So he is also part of those that they are referring to here, right? Like, is that beautiful? That just makes this circle that much stronger. When we have the guys who've been here a long time, they include themselves in part of that zone, and making me feel less lonely, making me feel less helpless when I know that those guys are still, and women are still there, sitting with us, man. I don't want to feel alone anymore, right? And we don't have to when we understand what they are referring to with the those, right? Is that beautiful? That's just like beautiful, right? Right? You know, and grandfather always said, maybe I need a place of humility because he was always reminding me of like this humility. Can't start without humility, right? So let's talk about this, right? And I think we just kind of talked about it. We kind of covered it, the spiritual and the physical, right? They have to mirror each other, right? Right. Right. So in other words, we have to live humility. It's not a good thing to talk about humility if we don't live humility because that will keep us as a clear sign that we are out of balance, right? Right. So here, the those is the deeper, beyond the beyond. The those is us, is all of us, right? Right. And I'm honored, again, I am honored to be sitting with you and those have been walking this way a really long time, including, and this, and stuff like this gets bigger and beautiful and powerful. So the ancestors, they are sitting here with us. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are part of the those, seen and unseen, physical and spiritual, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, did we cover the first word? We just have a good time here. We really do. I just get all fired up because this is the thing that brought me back to life, right? Brought me back to life, right? These are the teachings that said that I'm not alone anymore, that I am capable of being loved, right? Right? And you are capable of being loved. You're capable. And but the thing is, are you receiving and acknowledging the love that you are being offered, right? Gratitude, right? Gratitude is humility, right? And we talked about it earlier, right? Right. The first gift we got today was life, right?
Mm.
Yeah. That's a place of humility. Ah, good, thank you. And so that we don't feel entitled to like without gratitude, then that sneaky entitlement comes in. Well, I deserve this and I deserve that. And because I deserve that, I'm gonna treat you a certain way. Just because you're less than. I've been here a long time, and I make more money, and I'm healthier, and I'm younger, and blah blah blah. It's just kind of like, we get twisted after that. But right, so we get right sized here. We remember that we are part of this beautiful circle. So okay, those who have a difficult. Okay, all right. Difficult. What do they mean? What is the spiritual word of like difficult, right? Like, what do they mean? Kind of like, it's not like bench pressing 400 pounds. We all have a difficult time doing that, right? But what would be a spiritual definition, right? We live in the physical and we live in the spiritual. So what would, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, right? So the difficult, right? And it encompasses all that spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. So what do they mean? What would be the emotional difficult or the mental difficult, right? We understand what physical is because, I just said it. We all can't bench press 400 pounds, right? That's a difficult thing, not impossible to do. I would be in traction for the rest of my life if I tried that, right? I'd probably be in a coma, but so leaving that one behind. But remember this, right? Everything begins with the spiritual, and I need you to write that down, right? Right. It doesn't begin with the material or the physical like the colonial world does, Right? No, everything begins with the spiritual. So it's a difficult time, right? And then when we break that down, it breaks it into basically 3 sections that we really have to take a look at for, the spiritual, emotional, mental, right? So the difficulties, right? Okay, now we have to talk about a place of refusal, right? Right, right, right. So I'm being in a 12-step program and not doing 12 steps, right? Right, place of refusal. We've been there, right? Someone's been there. Someone needs to go there, right? Okay, right. Spiritual refusal. That's what we're talking about, right? Okay, those of us on, all right. I'm about to call a bunch of you out who are really doing the 30-day challenge and who are just kind of looking at it being like, I don't know. Got this crazy Indian telling me to do this 30-day challenge and I don't even know what it's about, right? Right. 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 Maybe I'll do a live just on the 30-day challenge. Maybe I'll do that a little later. Right. Right. Yeah. Are we at a place of refusal? The 30-day challenge offering prayers of life and love and gratitude for life at the beginning of every day. That's basically the 30-day challenge. There's tobacco in here. That's what I really meant by that. Yeah. Right. Right. What are we willing to do and what are we willing not to do? They're basically calling us out. The Spirit's calling us out. A price has to be paid. Again, one of the greatest lines in any spiritual book I have ever written and I ever read. Big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It said a price has to be paid. Right. One of the greatest lines. That is the greatest line. Thank you for those elders and ancestors that wrote that. Right. A place of humility. Right. A price has to be paid. That means we have to make an offering. We have to make an effort. Right. Are we willing to make? And if everything begins with a spirit, then it's a spiritual effort. Will I go out and do that? Will I go out and make an offering? Everything begins with gratitude. When we celebrate, and like here's a little secret: when we start celebrating life, everything else becomes a little easier, right? Right. And that conversation with those people is a little different than those who are in the middle of refusing to make that offering, to do the 30-day challenge, right? And really, I was talking to this woman, Jada, and she said it's not a challenge, it's an opportunity. And I said, that's absolutely right. So thank you, Jada, for bringing that beautiful message. This is a beautiful opportunity to live a really good life. Are you going to take it or are you going to refuse it? Well, I'm just going to sit here and because I woke up, I am entitled to this life and I am entitled to treat you a certain way because that's what we do, because we mirror the prayers that we walk with and the prayers that we don't. I love you. I love you. Right. Okay. Those who have a difficult time. Okay. Difficult. I want you to cross it out and put a place of refusal next to that, right? Because now we know. Now we know. Now we know there's another way. There's an easier, softer way. And it's really offering ourselves for our prayers to be heard. Prayers of humility and gratitude. Okay. Time. Have a difficult time. What does time mean here? Life. What time is it? Okay. Okay, we started early, so time. Day. Life. Have a difficult life. Those who have a difficult time listening, okay, they just called us out there. Right? What is listening? Listening, we say it all the time. Pops, this is a pops-ism and now it's a bear-ism. Listening is the first form of communication. Right? We have forgotten as a people, as a species, how to listen. Right? And how do we listen? Right? How do we listen? Right? We don't even know how to do that anymore. I was reminded by Pop's teaching from a grandmother. Where was I? British Columbia. I recently came back from British Columbia. And my grandmother, that God brings tears to my heart. He said, brings tears to my heart. And it really does. We listen with all five senses, right? Spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. That's the way we listen, right? You break that down, and we could just have a circle just on that. In fact, it's a really good idea, right? Like, how do we listen, right? Right. I love you. We listen with all five senses, right? Right. Right. Okay. This is time of great gentleness. That means we listen, and again, I think we talked about it yesterday. Oh, I just listen from my heart. And that sounds really new agey and cool, and you're probably right. But, if you listen from only your heart, you're missing the five other senses, right? Right. So let's include listening and being in full circle and being all in, right? You know, who here wants to be all in today? That means living your very best life, right? I want to be all in. I don't want to be angry, sad, lonely, depressed. I don't want to drink. I don't want to commit suicide today. I don't want to do any of those things, right? I want to be all in. I want to live my best life. And I can't do that without you. And I can't do that without listening to you, right? Right? That means the absence of judgment and opinion. And my job is to love you anyway, regardless of your opinion about me, right? You know, and what is that? That is a definition of humility. And are we listening to humility? Are we listening to that prayer? How can we learn to listen if we don't have good relationships with humility? Unseen medicine, right? I love you, but, you know, I get a lot of buts, right? I love you, but, right? Right. A lot of us love to listen, but don't love listening to the truth, right? That's not listening, that's something else, right? Again, contrast medicine, those of us out there who are living their very best truth. That means understanding that we are flawed and fallible. I am flawed, I am fallible. That's just it. I'm trying to live my very best life, right? Guided by these principles, right? Sometimes I judge, sometimes I have opinions, sometimes I say things I shouldn't say, right? You know, so that leads you back to this place of, right, humility. Have I made a mistake? Yes. Have I offered an amends for that? Absolutely, right? Right. You know, seen Pops do it too. You know, seen Pops do it, right? You know, so those ones that have been here a little longer than me, they showed me the way. Right? They showed me the way. You know what? You know, we were doing, and this is one of my favorite Pop stories. It's we were doing, we were cutting a lodge. We were harvesting willows, and we did the pipe ceremony, and we kind of drifted off and get coffee and stuff, and go to the secret spot for, because we all have the secret spot for willows, right? And so anyway, we said we'll meet there in a couple hours. We're gonna go break up because it's a sunrise thing. We did a sunrise thing, and then we all broke up, got coffee, and then we said, well, all right, we'll meet back here at 9 o'clock or at the sacred spot. And then so we drove there. And I remember we were, I think I was driving at 15 minutes early, and there were Pops waist deep in the swamp, cutting willows. I said, Pops, man, you've been doing this 50 years. You don't need to do that. We got young bloods here that can do that. And he's like, yeah, I can't do it, A level of humility, right? A level of love. Showing us it's never too late to get started early, right? Showing us that really beautiful place, right? The elders, they show us the way, right? And I got a million Pop stories, man. I really do. Like, he just showed me the way, right? It was like, what were we doing? We were at like a conference, a seminar, one time, and they needed work, help in like the kitchen, right? I guess some of the staff didn't show up, right? It was all volunteer thing anyway. So Pops just said, like, guy's like 70 years old. He went in and started washing dishes, right? And I'm like, okay, all right, and that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So Pops is in there, been walking the red road, 55 years at this point, right? And he's still in there, like, doing the dishes, right? And I'm like, that is like the coolest, right? That is like the coolest thing. Like, I want elderly, and thank God that there's a guy that guy wasn't too cool for school and said, you know what? Been here too long, man. I got too many feathers, man. I'm too cool for this, man. No, he got right in there and he was like scrubbing the freaking dish. He was like scrubbing it, and I'm like looking at him like, that is like the coolest. Like, what a great teaching, right? Right. And the bottom line to that, the reason why I told that story is because he listened. Because he listened to humility. Are you listening to humility right now? Right? Right. That's just some really cool stuff, right? So, whenever they need help in the kitchen, I got something, I'm in there too. I'm in there. I'm setting up chairs. I'm helping out the circle and helping out with the altar. Wherever they need me, wherever I go. We showed up a couple days early to the elders gathering and said, what do you need help with? Let's go set up some chairs, or we set up the teepees, which is really cool. And that was a really cool thing. Set up early in Illinois, and there's so many ways to set up a teepee, right? And I learned a couple of new ways. I thought that was great. There's like the tripod way. There's a four-way. There's all these different ways. And so there was an elder there, and I just learned from the elder. I said, well, and part of that was, I was grateful for Pops for teaching me that it's okay to learn a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That is humility, right? Right. And again, there's people that walk with humility, that listen to humility. The conversation is just different. Right? It's just different, and it's beautiful. It's gentle. It's powerful. Let me get in there, and let me help. Right? So always okay. Always. Those who have a difficult time listening, always. Okay, that's pretty clear there. What does that? That's pretty smudging your face, right? Always. It's not sometimes, not possible, but always, right? Right. And let's follow it up by the hard way, the difficult way, the place of refusal. Right. Those who are now refusing to do the 30-day challenge, right? Probably having a difficult time listening, understanding, comprehending, walking with, listening to. A place called humility. And then that's a domino effect. There's positive domino effect, and there's a negative domino effect, right? So part of the negative is like, well, life owes me because I lived a hard life, right? That's entitlement, right? I deserve it because I've suffered, right? And that's called victimese, right? I used to speak really good victimese. We speak a lot of languages. I don't speak victimese anymore, right? I don't. I would rather speak the word of humility, the language of humility, the language of humility. Okay, I love you. Okay, I need help. Okay, how can I help you? Those are the 3 phrases. Write that down. And I need you to write down. I love you. I need help. And how can I help you? I need you to write those 3 down. And live those as a way of life, right? If you want to know what humility is, if you want to know what love is, and you want to know what truth is, and you want to know what the 7 sacred teachings are all about, start living those questions, right? Right. That's why I say, turn my life around. Turn my life around. I did not hear growing up, I love you. I did not hear that. Right? I love you. Like when I was around other families, I could hear their moms and parents and grandparents say to that. And I remember listening. And, my parents, my white parents, adopted parents, were beautiful, wonderful people, right? They really did. They gave me every opportunity, right? Right. But the one thing I really wish that I heard more of is I love you. And if I didn't hear it, then I didn't think they did, right? So I grew up feeling very unlovable, and that's why, I switched the narrative now. That's why, like, I write the script out and I say and I'm very saying I love you, because that is something that everyone needs to hear every day. Right? And not because I want something from you, it's because I want you to live your very best life, everything for you, spiritually, emotionally. That's why I say that, right? And that is a practice in understanding. And I say it to those people that have hurt me, right? Because there's a practice of humility, because I don't want to get in that place again, right? And not just saying that we'll backslide if we miss a day, but it's just saying, hey, we make it as part of our everyday life, right? Let's go back to this tree story, right? I am all heart all the time. Can you be all heart all the time? We have come full circle, right? Right. Those who have a difficult time listening, always, okay, not too many of these in the spiritual world always have a difficult time healing. I think we know what that looks like, right? Right. And let's look at it from a different angle. Those who judge, right? They have a difficult time listening. Those who hate on us, they have a difficult time, understanding the sacred ways, right? Looks like lateral violence, right? Could be spiritual, emotional, mental violence. Could turn into physical violence. Could, turn all that. Eventually it's going to come down to physical, because that's the way it is. Because we break into spiritual, and then we go emotional, mental, and then we break into the physical, right? Right. That's the way it goes, right? Right. The way to heal that, the way to live a good life, a better life, is say, listen, I love you, man. Okay, you hurt me. I'm gonna love you anyway. Okay. Standing Bear, I have a really bad opinion. Okay, I love you. Standing Bear, you did this, you did this, and you are that, and okay, I love you. Right. That's what that looks like. Okay. Right. And like the other thing too is we put a lot of value into opinions and the critics that haven't done the work, right? Right. So the people that are judging us just haven't done the work, right? Right. So what kind of value are we going to give them, the people who haven't done the work and haven't learned humility and love and truth yet, haven't learned how to walk in a humble manner, to love in a good way, to love always, that's a good way. And the truth is, and the truth is to really take a look at that. So honesty and truth, pretty synonymous, looking at those things. So there's people that come at us, right? There's negative things, right? Well, like, do we feel hurt or do we feel empathy, right? That's the different conversation. I just went over. So that's the different conversation that we have with those who have done the healing, walk this way. It's just a different conversation, right? Because those who have done the healing don't say, I hate you. Right. I don't love you. You did that. You did this. I'm accusing you of that. I'm accusing you of this. I'm accusing you of that. I heard this wrong. It's just like kind of like the lower vibrational stuff. The people that engage in chaos, right? Crisis and chaos. We call it toxicity, right? I don't really engage in that anymore, because it's not a necessary part of my being, that I don't need to listen to that, right? We love them and move on, right? Short, small doses with those people, right? Just, and that's not being dismissive. That's being gentle to our spirits, right? So small doses, no doses. So it doesn't matter if it's your daughter, sister, brother, mom, dad. Small doses. I don't care who you are, right? I don't get to be treated that way, right? I don't, right? So, if no one said that they love you today, love you very much. Honor for me to sit here with you. I think we got a couple questions here. It's that moment we all have to. I think there's just one announcement. Oh, actually, there's going to be two. I lost the announcement. Okay. Oh, you don't see that. You don't see that thing there. Okay, well, we're just going to do two announcements, the ones I can find right now. I understand. So, okay, so women's group, International Women's Healing Circle. Facebook group and women support each other. Incredible things happen. That is a Zoom event. That is Monday here. It's kind of like it's international. So we have Monday here on Turtle Island, and then we have a Thursday group, which is more international, more of our European sisters over there. Denise Miller. Runs both with the help of Maureen O'Hara. She is over. They do a great job on Thursdays. If you are a woman, yes. So please hook up with one of those two. Also, we have a seminar workshop coming up. Denise Miller and myself, a journey through the seasons. We are on the summer season right now. It's coming up in a couple weeks. So if you're interested about that, we have a free Zoom event talking about that this Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So in a couple of days, actually, we're going to be talking about that. And it is the following week, not too late. It's a really beautiful, this is creating that beautiful intentions recovery. We are all in recovery from that, right? And it's not just drug addiction. It's about creating and understanding our connection to Mother Earth and so much more after that. I'm not, again, we're going to cover that in the free seminar Saturday, 9 a.m. So if you want information for that, please just put that in the feed there, and we will get that to you. If you want to sign up, please just go to Denise Miller, and she will sign you up for that. That's it. So I thought if I started a little earlier, we get done on time. But I just okay. All right. Please just close your eyes and just picture one thing, just one thing. All right. Like we don't want to get too many things. Just pick one thing. Put that on your heart. Put that right here. Right? Well, thank you. Kept it kind of short. Once again, the final word is this ceremony may end, but the ceremony in you does not end. So let's take what we lived here, loved here, and learned here, and listen to here, and take it out to the four winds out there. It does us no good to be all spiritual here if we don't take it out here. And remember, it has to go here first. This is the place it has to go, right here. So it has to go to our hearts, right? If it doesn't go to our hearts, it won't go to our families. If it doesn't go to our families, it won't go to our communities. And let's feel really good about what we did here today. We did a really good job. We have changed. Whenever the hearts and minds and the prayers come together, we have changed the world. So thank you for coming, and then thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing everything that you offered today. My name is Kanepa Nakwa, Standing Bear, and if no one said that they love you today, I love you very much. Let's have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Okay, all right.